Welcome to the Prolific Banking video blog. This is Joe Spatarella. I'm the Chief Client Success Officer for Prolific Banking. And with me today is Scott Graf, President and founder of Prolific Banking. Scott is an experienced technologist with a demonstrated history of working in the financial services industry to develop innovative software solutions. And I'm happy to have this conversation with him today. And today's topic is discovering the value of cloud computing for business users specifically. So, just by way of background, cloud computing is not new. Like most technology innovations, there's a slow period of adoption that can extend to as much as 10 to 20 years. That said, cloud computing is now in the mainstream with greater visibility over the last few years. So with the benefits of cloud computing, while those benefits are compelling to those in the IT world, the practical benefits have not yet made their way to the line of business and product management side of typical bank organizations. So in this session, we'll explore the application of cloud technology to prolific banking, commercial digital banking, application development, which Scott drives for the company, and uncover the actual value we derive from its use. So Scott, let's take a closer look at key benefits of cloud technology and really try to focus in on the value. So the first thing is we understand that there's a lower cost to implement a cloud-based solution without the need for costly servers and related equipment. What resources does a new development project in the cloud require?
So thanks, Joe. Right. So the cloud has enabled all sorts of new development methodologies, but one of the primary things to focus on is that the cloud has enabled development projects to focus on the solutioning. So software development is more than just ideation, product design, and writing code. There's an entire infrastructure and workflow that must be considered in developing and maintaining even small projects as it relates to businesses and financial institutions. There's code and build management, compliance, security, etc. And I think one of the biggest drivers is that cloud services have provided a lot of these supporting features with just a few clicks of the button.
Wow, okay, that makes perfect sense. So let's talk about improved collaboration. I mean, does it really provide an opportunity for more non-technical participant engagement?
It really does. And I'll frame this up obviously with our line of business. One of the core capabilities of cloud computing is the ability to temporarily bring resources online and then shut them down. We call these elastic type services. In working with customers in rapid prototyping, engagement with this capability enables them to participate in the design phase of ideation and development. This leads to better alignment and alleviates some of the "oh, you meant this" events, right? That inevitably makes projects cost more, time and money. So folks can be coming in, seeing what you're doing as the project progresses. I'll also mention something that isn't talked about a lot, and that is testing. Not just where to go test and having dedicated test environments, but data sets, which can provide a more comprehensive testing harness. While at first glance that probably doesn't resonate outside of a technical concept, think about when I, as a financial institution, need to take on that big corporate customer and want to provide for them a resource that they can use to test their specific need or custom project. There are many real world scenarios like this that could be transferred from a sticky sale barrier to more of an opportunity, and it actually winds up creating a sales advantage, and that should resonate.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. Well, let's move on to integration. And I should point out that you've already written a blog article about cloud-based integration. So that's out there on prolificbanking.com under our blog if you'd like to see more on that. But for right now, let's integration in the cloud is different and easier.
Sure. And probably when we talk about integrations and the buzz TLA of today is API, right? And we speak of APIs in a newish way, and broken record. I was personally developing integrated API solutions back in the early 2000s, and we did that for a lot of the major enterprise property management firms in the United States. What's different today is the cost and ease of deployment. All of that infrastructure that we used to have in order to stand up simple APIs, whether you're producing or consuming them, I no longer have to know how to configure a Cisco firewall or an F5 load balancer. I can have a basic understanding of infrastructure and with a few clicks, publish an API that is performant and resilient. Even you could go insofar as talking about scripting things and languages, such as using Lambda scripts out in Amazon Web Services, where I don't even need a compiler anymore. I can put these APIs online and have actionable workflow within these cloud environments.
So I guess in that respect, 20 years does make a difference. Not just adoption, but better tools. So if we think about specifically about commercial bank application integration, I mean, can cloud technology really make that big a difference?
Yes, and the traditional industry solutions aren't going to look the same. For decades, the products that we deliver to the market, they've remained what they are, and they've been reintroduced just using different technology. I've written a few of them, from TTY-based solutions on dial-up to the web-based HTML, HTTP solutions of today. Nothing has really changed from a product perspective. And not really to throw out any kind of spoiler alert, but taking advantage of accessible, that being technologically available endpoints, and those endpoints being the business and the bank, that brings so many opportunities that deliver new products and services to the market that can solve core business banking problems. Those core concepts of banking, they have not changed since forever. Banking is banking. But the products and services that we're delivering, they've been around for a while. I won't necessarily go to say that they're tired, but these products and services and the opportunities that we have with cloud endpoints, really, that whole transformation process is happening both with our business customers as well as internally. And those are key opportunities for both large and small institutions, both on the corporate side or the small business side, and then the size of financial institution that I am, because it's not just something for the upmarket type business vertical. So 2 endpoints in the cloud, so to speak, the business and the bank, that brings that the customer is now so much closer to us, and that just brings about a whole lot of opportunity. I'll refrain from saying more about that at this time, but that opportunity is something that's going to be extremely advantageous.
Sounds good. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. So let's move on to innovation. So everything I read, states that cloud computing has proven to foster much more innovation. And I guess my question here is that a result of improved collaboration and integration, or are there other factors that, in your experience, contribute to this innovation?
Yes, I would say yes. So, the vision, not to shamelessly plug to the people that I've followed for, forever, Bill Joy and James Gosling, the guys back from Sun Microsystems, right? The vision of the computer and the network being one. Well, come on, back in the 80s, 90s, that was ridiculous, but it's become a reality. And the essence of all of that is that we're less constrained to gather, store, and share information. Cloud infrastructure is allowing us to expand workflows from beyond the traditional borders. And, those are some of the things that we're doing here at Prolific Banking, by the way, because we're able to consider the entire banking engagement across what were typically and traditionally siloed boundaries while still maintaining the necessary security and regulatory compliance. So, hand in hand with the cloud, a smaller group of very capable individuals can accomplish accelerated growth and meaningful solutions for an industry. What's even more is I can do it at a lower operating cost and pass those savings along. And, did someone say cost-effective innovation?
Also a nice benefit to have along with the innovation. So we'll move on to something we always have to talk about, which is security and compliance. And various research reports I've seen have shown that organizations realize significant improvements in security after switching to a cloud environment. which is sort of counter to what a lot of people think. They think, being in the cloud is less secure. And further, a number of organizations have stated that the cloud improves their ability to address compliance requirements. I mean, has that been in your experience to date?
Yes, and it really it all has to do with the tools available to do the job. So, um, my perspective, security and compliance are similar, but at the same time, the implementation they're in and what needs to be done, those are very, very different animals. You can be as compliant as all get out, and in the end, be still exposed to a variety of security risks. So let's talk about compliance first. I have controls and policies in place to protect my organization both internally and externally. I have appropriate business and audited accounting practices, those types of things. You have policies and procedures in place, and what is more, third parties can come in, review these practices, and they're tracked and how they're managed within an organization. So the tools available in cloud environments significantly help to manage this process. Here at Prolific, our audit partners can come in and see what is going on without my team having to educate them on custom software packages and our software flows from point A to point B to point C. It's all standard and it's all battle tested, and we're using the same tools that the regulators have come to know and love, right? So that's on the compliance side, and that takes a whole lot of burden off when everything is streamlined. And not to get all zen on you, but security is an art, and as I have in the past, I could speak for days on the subject, but to answer the question, yes. The cloud offers an improved security posture for any organization. I'll say too, with a wink, that it also exposes new potential surfaces for threats that too must be managed. Organizations really need to take care to never be lulled into a false sense of security that, that's when bad things happen, even to very experienced players. It doesn't really matter how much experience you have. Complacency, hubris, they really have no place in the security field. The tools that the cloud offers you are comprehensive from a security construct, but at the end of the day, if they're not deployed or leveraged correctly, you could get yourself into trouble.
Sure. No, that's great points. And speaking of bad things happening, let's talk about disaster recovery. Again, my understanding is cloud computing can significantly improve recovery time. I mean, in your opinion, is that true?
Yes. Again, not to replay the theme, but this is where experience also comes into play. So, if you've never had to manage or go through the experience of a disaster situation, it's easy to get caught, quote unquote. Being transparent, I've learned by being caught in the past, but haven't always been able to recover in some of the enterprise systems that I managed and built. DR situations are no fun; they're stressful. And when we look at disaster recovery, we look at two major metrics. There's the recovery time objective and the recovery point objective, and they're very, very intermingled. In simple terms, cloud computing, in the end, is a cluster of regionally separated data centers with a really cool management console slapped on the front end. There are no silver bullets, as the application must be considered in the overall orchestration of any type of disaster event. That all being said, the implementation of multi-zone, multi-region infrastructure, along with data replication, that can now be managed through a web console. So, back to my comment, experience comes into play. In the right hands, it is a true statement, or it can be egregiously wrong in that inexperienced players can again be lulled into thinking that they are ready.
Sure. No, makes sense. So, really, our last point here is, accelerated development cycles and faster time to market. The understanding I have is that cloud computing supports a shorter development timeline and faster time to market. Would you agree that the overall development cycle is indeed shorter?
That's a really good question. So I would agree. It is shorter, but it does depend on the team. In fact, it brings more focus on the team. And this is where the domain knowledge really comes into play. Right, we have technical product managers and development staff. They're merging, so to speak, right? Less and less is it about, I'm going to design the product and I'm going to develop the product. So I would make the statement that while the overall cycle is indeed shorter, the true benefit there is it includes more features and benefits for the end customer. So I'm able to compress my time, and I don't need as many resources. So the products and services or innovations that I'm able to deliver leveraging cloud technology tends to be of much more value and benefit for the end user.
That's great. Well, Scott, really appreciate all your insights. And I know I've learned a bunch today, and I hope our viewers have as well. If you all are interested in learning more, again, please visit our website at prolificbanking.com. You know, the Prolific Banking team has decades of experience in developing digital banking solutions and the integrations that contribute to the value of those solutions. So we've developed a digital engagement platform that can address day one challenges while providing a framework for moving forward down the path of digital transformation. So again, thank you for your time and attention, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you so much.